some of the highest ranking basketball figures in the world. But what's more important is, will they offer Caitlin Clark that $100 million?
Wow. The WNBA just got hit with a bombshell they were absolutely not prepared for. We're talking about Caitlin Clark, and the numbers being thrown around her name are unreal. People aren't discussing a few million anymore. There's now serious talk of $1 billion offer. Saudi Arabia just flipped the entire landscape overnight, and a league that has historically underpaid its biggest stars is about to learn a very expensive lesson. I mean, if someone offered you $1 billion to play basketball overseas, would you even
come across my phone that says Neko Ogwumike becomes the first player known to join new Project B league in Europe and Asia. Neko Ogwumike, the president of the WNBA, in the middle of these CBA negotiations where literally everything is on fire right now in the world of women's basketball. Everything is burning. Neka is announced as the very first player who will be joining this league that not only is a league that runs during the off season, but they have marketed themselves as a league that will rival the WNBA.
So, the internet practically exploded yesterday when Nneka Ogwumike signed with Project B. And honestly, it wasn't really about Nneka specifically, it's about what her signing represents. She's the president of the WNBA Players Association, the person who's supposed to fight for better deals and negotiate with the league, and she just jumped ship to the competition. That's like the captain of the Titanic spotting an iceberg and immediately getting on the first lifeboat. The message is pretty clear. Even the people leading the union don't seem to believe in the WNBA's long-term future. But here's what's absolutely wild. After Nneka signed, the rumor mill went into overdrive about who's next, and the name everyone keeps bringing up is Caitlin Clark. Not for a normal contract either. We're hearing whispers about offers that could make her one of the highest paid athletes on the planet. Some people are even tossing around that $1 billion number again. And while that sounds completely insane, we have to...
Word on the street is that they're looking to target Caitlin Clark. We got some tweets to go over, but what's first is we got a bit of negotiations for the WNBA actually signing to this Saudi-backed project. Man, ESPN broke the story late yesterday, guys, and this one right here is a shocker. And this has to be a conflict of interest, man, in some way, shape, form, or
The thing is, Saudi Arabia doesn't operate under normal economic rules. These people have so much money that dropping $100 million on an athlete is literally pocket change to them. Think about it. They paid Cristiano Ronaldo more than $200 million a year just to play soccer. They gave golfers signing bonuses in the hundreds of millions to join LEV Golf. They even flew Floyd Mayweather out for exhibition matches and paid him ridiculous amounts of money. When you're sitting on oil, reserves that could fund a small country for decades, money simply isn't an obstacle. So when someone tweets that Caitlin Clark could get $1 billion offer, it's actually not as crazy as it sounds. Is it likely? Probably not. Is it possible? Absolutely. These are the same people who tossed $6 million at a fighter for just 3 exhibition bouts and gave a golfer somewhere between $400 and $600 million just as a signing bonus. They're simply not playing by the same rules as everyone else.
Project B is paying a lot, which is what we assumed. You know, this all started with Saudi-backed league. And that's what got the controversy ball rolling and the speculation ball rolling. And to be honest, I wasn't sure what to make of it. But now it seems like a very, very real thing, particularly with Nneka Ogwumike signing, and there's the message that sends with her being the Players Association president and everything. But then there is the bottom line. You know, everybody's got a price.
Meanwhile, the WNBA is in full-on panic mode. They're in the middle of collective bargaining negotiations, and they just gave themselves a 30-day extension to sort everything out. And right in the middle of all this, their biggest competitor swoops in and starts stealing players with offers the WNBA could never even dream of. Matching. It's like trying to negotiate your salary, while your boss watches another company offer your coworker 10 times what you make. So let's break down what Project B is actually offering first. The money is undisclosed, which almost certainly means it's embarrassingly high compared to WNBA salaries. Second, they're giving players equity stakes in the league. That means ownership. These women aren't just employees anymore. They're investors who benefit directly when the league succeeds. Third, the schedule runs from November to April, which lines up perfectly with the WNBA offseason. Players would normally be grinding overseas during that time anyway. Now think about what that means for someone like Caitlin Clark. Instead of earning her WNBA salary and then flying to Turkey or Russia to play in a half-empty gym for extra cash, she could build generational wealth in a well-funded league with world-class facilities. No more exhausting overseas grind. No more stressing about sketchy foreign leagues not paying her. Just one massive check that sets up her entire family for life. The timing couldn't be worse for the WNBA. They're trying to negotiate a new media rights deal, capitalize on last season's momentum, and they desperately need their stars to make it all work. Then Project B arrives with Saudi money and threatens to gut the entire league. It's like watching someone spend years building a house of cards only for someone else to walk in and blow the whole thing down.
Anyhow, Project B is founded by former Facebook executive and the co-founder of Skype. And they've got the investors, as I've mentioned before. Candace Parker is one of them, Novak Djokovic, Sloane Stephens. So it's some big-time investors involved as well. But the salary is what is truly staggering and the thing that could change the entire game.
And get this, Nneka Ogwumike literally said the compensation package was the main reason she signed. She didn't even try to pretend it was about anything else. The money was better, so she took it. And honestly, why wouldn't she? The WNBA has underpaid these women for decades, always promising things would eventually improve. Project B basically walked in and said, "Forget eventually. Here's your money now." And of course, the conspiracy theories are already flying. Some people believe Project B specifically targeted the WNBA because they saw just how vulnerable it was. The league has been losing players to overseas teams for years. The salaries are terrible. The working conditions are below standard compared to men's leagues. All Project B had to do was offer fair money and equity, and suddenly they became an incredibly attractive option. But Caitlin Clark is the ultimate prize. She's the biggest name in women's sports right now. She fills arenas, crashes streaming platforms, and sells merchandise like nobody else. If Project B lands her, they legitimize their entire operation overnight. Suddenly, they're not just a startup league. They're the league that signed Caitlin Clark, and that alone is worth whatever they have to pay her. Some people are saying Caitlin's stock has dipped a little recently. Maybe. But she's still by far the most marketable athlete in women's basketball. If this offer had come last year during peak Caitlin mania, we might actually be talking about the full billion-dollar contract. A more realistic number now is probably in the 10 to 20 million range, maybe up to 50 million if they want to make a massive statement. But here's the thing, Saudi Arabia doesn't do anything small. When they enter a market, they don't try to participate. They try to dominate. They didn't just start a golf league, they launched Eliv Golf and immediately poached the PGA's biggest stars with contracts that made global headlines. They didn't just dip into soccer, they brought in Cristiano Ronaldo and turned their league into a destination for aging superstars looking for one last massive payday. So when they target women's basketball, they're not coming to compete. They're coming to conquer, and Caitlin Clark is the key to that conquest. If they get her, they can get anyone. Other players will see Caitlin getting real money and either demand the same or jump ship themselves. Within 2 years, Project B could easily become the premier women's basketball league in the world, and the WNBA could be reduced to a developmental league. The WNBA's leverage has always been the lack of alternatives. Yes, players could go overseas, but that meant dealing with language barriers, unfamiliar cultures, unstable leagues, and hoping their paychecks actually arrived. Now Project B is offering overseas money with American organization and Saudi-level funding, and that changes everything. Some people are trying to make this a moral issue, saying players shouldn't take Saudi money because of human rights concerns. That's a fair discussion, but where is that same energy when the NBA relies heavily on China? Or when American corporations do billions in business with countries that have questionable human rights records? Athletes have always had to make complicated choices about where their money comes from. The reality is simple. Project B is playing by the rules. No one is being forced to sign. They're just offering better deals than the competition. That, my friends, is capitalism. The WNBA spent years saying market forces determine salaries, and now the market is finally speaking loudly. Turns out that when you introduce real competition, salaries skyrocket. Shocking, right? What's fascinating is watching the WNBA try to respond. They can't match these offers financially. They simply don't have the money. So instead, they're appealing to loyalty, history, tradition, legacy. But you can't pay rent with legacy. You can't retire on nostalgia. For Caitlyn specifically, the decision should be straightforward. She's already accomplished everything domestically. She's already the face of women's basketball. She's already proven she can dominate at the pro level. There's nothing left for her to prove in the WNBA. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is offering her the chance to finally earn what she's truly worth. And here's the bigger picture. If Caitlyn takes the money and joins Project B, future women's basketball stars will finally have genuine options. They won't have to accept whatever lowball offers the WNBA gives them. They'll be able to negotiate from a position of power, demand equity, and leverage competing leagues. The WNBA created this problem themselves. They had decades to fix pay disparities. They could have shared revenue more fairly, invested in marketing, and treated their stars like actual stars. They didn't. And now someone else is offering exactly what the WNBA refused to provide. And think about how insane this is. The WNBA Players Association president just left for the competition. That's not a vote of no confidence, that's setting the building on fire on the way out. If the woman who's supposed to be fighting for better WNBA contracts doesn't believe in the league's future, why should anyone else? And it's not just her. Project B has already secured investment from former WNBA champions. Candace Parker is involved. Elena Delle Donne is involved. These are people who understand the WNBA from the inside, and they're betting on Project B. That should terrify the league office. Project B's structure is also smart. Running from November to April means it doesn't directly overlap with the WNBA season. In theory, players could do both, but let's be real. If Project B is paying 10 times what the WNBA pays, why would anyone risk injury for WNBA money? You'd just play for Project B and call it a day. Some people claim this won't affect the WNBA much, that most players will remain loyal. That's pure fantasy. These women aren't playing for charity. They're professionals with limited career windows trying to maximize their earnings. If someone offers life-changing money, they will absolutely take it. The WNBA's response has been predictably defensive. They're downplaying the threat, emphasizing history and tradition, saying Project B is unproven. But none of that matters when the competition is parking trucks full of cash outside players' houses. And what makes this even more interesting is that Project B isn't being reckless. They actually have a strategy. They're using former Facebook and Skype executives who know how to build global brands. They have WNBA champions advising them. They've studied the mistakes of past startup leagues and are intentionally avoiding them. The comparison to LIV Golf is obvious. Everyone said LIV would fail, the PGA mocked it, fans dismissed it, until the checks started clearing. Suddenly, top golfers jumped ship, and the PGA was forced to overhaul its entire structure. Project B could very easily do the same to the WNBA. They have the money, the connections, and now the players. All they need are one or two megastars to legitimize everything, and no name is bigger than Caitlin Clark. The WNBA is learning a harsh truth. You cannot underpay your workers for decades and then expect loyalty when someone else finally offers them real value. The league has profited off these athletes while paying them a fraction of their worth, and now the consequences are finally catching up. The entire basketball world is watching Caitlin Clark's next move like it's the biggest decision in sports. Project B isn't playing games, and neither is she. And neither is she.